Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. I have had quite the past couple weeks, as you may have known. And so I'm just getting back into the swing of things now. I have my system all set up. And I don't have any progress to show, very unfortunately. But things are in the works. My designer is working on the next area. And as soon as he's shown me that, I'm going to get started on Area 5. Technically Area 5, I think it's actually Area 4 as far as the game's concerned. That's just the way I organized it in the project, since I'm kind of skipping around now. But in the meantime, I felt bad for leaving you guys hanging last week. I usually post on Wednesdays. So for today, hopefully I can get this edited and sent up today. I had this idea just to show you around the later areas that we're going to get to soon, hopefully. So yeah, I guess if you're worried about spoilers or anything like that, I don't think there's going to be really too much here. This is just a bit of a showcase for like the theme sort of each of the next areas. So I'll be showing you all of these. I think there's maybe 4 here that I'll go through. So to start, right after the farm, we're going to end up in the castle town. You may have seen assets for this already. I know we've seen the towers before and maybe some other things. This is just a little test scene I made just to test out the assets. I made this probably 4 years ago. So this is just a little test scene to show off, to understand how the lighting's interacting with these things. Like we see these bricks and stuff showing. Just to test things, make sure things are looking okay. The biggest thing though for this particular area is the modular, these modular houses here. I have these medieval Tudor style houses. They have windows and doors and modular pieces for tops and bottoms and roofs and little veranda balcony things. These are what I'm going to use for creating the next area, the castle town, which will be a castle town. So it'll kind of be like you're walking your way through the streets and alleys of this dilapidated castle town. So these buildings that you're seeing now are all made up of the same assets. I think there's like 2 or 3 like main body assets, and then there's a bunch of modular pieces to be able to extend the houses to make larger houses like this one, or taller houses. I can make them as large or as tall or whatever shape and size that I like. They're essentially created on a grid. I guess this is the smallest example. I could do a little house like this. This is a 1x1 house with a roof. That's the smallest example, and from there I can make these taller ones and stretch it out and stuff. And then I'll have clotheslines and stuff hanging over the alleyways and stuff. I think it'll create a cool ambient, and of course the lighting isn't going to be like this. It'll be darker, creepier, and there'll be spooky guys walking around. And this area, I kind of want it to be more like a Souls game. Not in combat, but in interaction with the NPCs. So I kind of want, for example, you to be able to walk up to a door that's indicated maybe by light or something, and have a little conversation with someone behind the door, and then go and, I don't know, find an object for him, like a key or something, and then bring it back to them. And I think the progression will be something along those lines. So going back to that Resident Evil style, puzzle solving, kind of labyrinthian style area exploration. So that's what that's going to be here. I've been thinking more about this one a lot because it's the next one up. I'm going to start it next. The next areas I don't think I'm going to be able to talk about as much. So let's jump over to those areas. So after the castle town, I'm kind of undecided actually if after the castle town you go to the sewer or if you go someplace else. So let's just see what's up next in the project here. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's expected. The sewer was going to be the next thing, like traditionally, as far as the game's concerned. It's a little funny because I actually changed the scale of everything, so nothing's lining up right now in this test scene. But it's completely modular yet again. Maybe some of you recognize this. I made a video of this a while ago. This is like one of the first things I ever showed, was my idea for the mold and how that would look. So yeah, stuff isn't lining up like this. There's supposed to be a black square there blocking vision, but since I scaled everything up, I didn't change any of the layout in here. It's just a test area, so I imagine you'll be able to walk up on top of these at some point, and then maybe you can drop down in here, and there's bridges and stuff, and then eventually, I guess you'll make your way into some larger room like this, for example. Maybe you can come through here. I don't know why there's no collision on that. Whatever. That stuff will be resolved. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of Z fighting in this area, just because the things got scaled up in a weird way. But this is all modular. I'll create some interesting rooms and stuff with this. I love this interior stuff with the lighting and everything. I think it ends up adding a lot of cool depth to the scene, to the backgrounds and stuff. And this is supposed to be like a some kind of drain or something for the city above. That's not supposed to look like that either. It's supposed to be just a big circle up there. But I think at some point you'll come up to this and you'll end up going in or something. I don't know. I don't know if I'll have an animation for that, but it'll have a text prompt at least telling you that you're going to jump in there, because horror game protagonists always have the best idea when it comes to jumping down holes and sticking their arms where they don't belong and stuff. So I really like the color palette for this. I think the lighting is nice and atmospheric. I got kind of like a blue lighting going on. So yeah, that'll be after the castle town probably, unless I think of something else to do. We may actually revisit the castle. I didn't point it out, but you probably noticed in the castle town there's a big castle in the background. And at some point maybe you'll go in there before you actually reach the sewer. So this actually might come after a little portion where you revisit the castle, and maybe you encounter the antagonist of the story there. And we'll have to see. Okay, so I'm going to jump over the next one now. All right, so this scene I actually don't have a player in it, I think because the camera is kind of specific. So I guess I can just kind of show you around. Can I do this? I don't want to mess up the camera size. Let's see if I can just navigate us around this way here. Sure. So this is going to be like an underwater setting. Imagine after the sewer, at least, you're going to jump down that hole and then you're going to end up in this underwater scene. And we can see we got like some cool dilapidated boats and stuff. I have all kinds of flora. We can see over here if I can get the... Looks like I'm missing... Like this is stuff I made a long time ago, so a lot of the assets have been replaced and stuff. But there used to be a rock here, but I updated the rock, so it's missing now. Anyway, we got these cool flora for the underwater section there. I might add more to this just because it's a little boring, I guess. There's only these 3 types. I might add some more variety, but that stuff takes a lot of time. So I'll see how far I can get with just that and the rocks that we already have and stuff like that. And this area, it also has this detail layer of this, let's see if I can angle it. This is like the worst way to do this. But yeah, we have this detail layer on the boat of barnacles and stuff. And I imagine that's going to be a persistent theme throughout this area. Maybe the enemies will have barnacles all over them and stuff as well. Oops. This is the jankiest. I didn't expect this to happen. Anyway, there might be another scene like that. In the swamp, I actually used these barrel assets, so you might already be familiar with these things, but I just imagine there were barrels tied down to the boat when it sank, but there was air caught in them or something, so they just floated up. Kind of creates a cool imagery there, just of this spire coming up from the ground to add some extra framing to the environment and stuff. Let's see, I'm kind of lost here now. Okay, I wish I could just walk around. But this setting has this extra fog and a blurry post-processing, which I have now included on the character itself, so we could get this effect while we're exploring. Just while I was testing that, I didn't have that ready. That's why it's just a fixed camera in this area. But yeah, there ought to be some cool things to explore here to uncover, and some interesting looking enemies and other types of surprises and stuff here. So let's jump over to the next one. I think this is the last unique area coming up next here. Let's see. Okay, I do have a character controller here. That's kind of nice. So yeah, pretty basic, but this is to show off this was me testing out this shader for the ash that's going to be falling in this last area. You'll eventually fall through the sky. I don't know if I've shown all that stuff yet. Maybe I showed it in when I was animating the cutscenes, but I have the cutscene all animated. You'll fall through the sky and you'll land in this kind of wasteland area. I guess it's sort of reminiscent of like a fallout area, like after a nuclear fallout. These trees are all pushed away from the center. They're covered in ashes and they're stripped bare as well. And the rocks will all be covered in ash as well. They'll have the same shader on them. And yeah, that's kind of the general look of this area. It's going to be pretty desolate. I do have other assets for these trees to make it a little more populated. So I have like 2D versions of these trees that are just old pine trees that are naked. So I'll set those off into the background, and we'll see what I have to do to get the ground with a nice level of detail, because I haven't really thought too much about this area. But yeah, this is the final unique area. You'll encounter something here. I don't want to spoil everything. You'll walk your way through here. There might be some challenges. It might be a full area, actually, where you do a puzzle or you do some exploring before you get to the final cutscene, or one of the final cutscenes. But you'll wrap up this by reaching the end. You'll be kind of teleported, I guess, back to a forest-like area, similar to what we've seen in the first area. And then the final cutscene will play out, and the story will hopefully be resolved for people. It's going to be resolved in a way, that's cozy for me. A lot of people were like commenting how the game is going to end if it's going to have like that your dog died kind of ending or whatever, the horse fell off the cliff. But I need for my own sake, I need it to be a happy ending. So, I mean, I guess maybe that's a little spoilery. I did advise that this would be kind of spoilery. Anyway, you'll see it. It's all done. It's all animated. The scenes aren't finished. I haven't like actually put them in the 3D space yet and set up those scenes for so it can play out in game. But those are all animated and ready to go. Some of them are more complex than other ones. Yeah, but we'll get to that at some point. For now, I just wanted to show you this because I feel like, I don't know, it's going to be another week or so until I'm actually able to get progress on the Castle Town to show. I skipped right over doing the detail pass and the music and sound effects pass on the farm area because I want to get this done. I want to get the Castle Town done, the sewer, the underwater, and this final area. I want these all to be playable kind of in a general sense. Kind of, like to open up more possibility for potentially relaunching this in early access so people can play through the whole thing. It might not have all the polish that it should have in the final game, but at least that way I can generate some more income for the game to hopefully help pay for the music and stuff that'll have to have commissioned. Music and sound effects will have to be commissioned for for all the cutscenes, for maybe some unique musical pieces for some of the areas, and some special sound effects. I guess I talked about this a little bit in the swamp video I did, where a lot of the water and stuff I don't have sounds for. Yeah, for now that's it. Hopefully this is a nice little update for you. I wish I had more to show. I've just been having kind of a crazy couple of weeks. But I'm here. I'm in Massachusetts now. I'm up in my sister's old bedroom, which is kind of weird because my room is being used for storage. And I visited New York to visit my friend, and I was just completely taken by the city. So I'm kind of setting my sights to moving there. I wrote about this in one of my last posts, so if you can read up on that if you like to. But in brief, I was just swept away by the city. I loved it so much. Even though it's going to be pricier, my goal is to get enough income going on to hopefully move out there comfortably and live somewhere nice. Not nice. I could probably live in just a studio, one room sort of kitchen and bathroom situation. I don't need a lot of space, but I hope to end up out there somehow soon, like within this year, at the most within the next year. But within this year, I would love to get out of my dad's hair. He's living with his girlfriend right now, and I want them to kind of, have their own personal space. I'm sort of like a house cat. I know I don't really impose myself on people's lives when I live with them. So I know that my dad would say like, no, it's no problem at all. But I know that it would help to not stick around for too long. I kind of feel like I'm haunting the house just being here. So if it's not New York, maybe Boston or, some other city, I just need people surrounding me. I just got used to the city life, and like it's peaceful living out here in the forest. Like obviously taking nature baths has become part of my healing routine. Going biking has been really nice. Getting some exercise that's been long overdue. But yeah, I definitely want to end up in New York at some time, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, a little outside of the scope of this video, but anyway, hopefully you liked seeing these assets. These are kind of things that I haven't really showed that much of, so maybe they're new to you. There are other creatures and characters and stuff that I haven't shown that maybe I'll preview later. I don't know, that kind of encroaches on like too spoilery. Like I kind of want to keep this stuff under wraps even though you guys are paying for the game. I don't know, let me know how you feel about spoilers. There's only a couple character designs that I have left to show. If you do digging on my social media, you may just find them there though. So it's not too spoilery, it's out there. Anyway, I guess I'm rambling now. I'll cut it off there. Hopefully you like this video. I will catch you all later, and take care.